Can Alabama win a national title? Today on the Pat McAfee show, that is what Coach Saban was asked, okay? Now, Coach Saban said it's going to be challenging to do if you are one-dimensional. My question for you inside the comment box as I go over this video, do you think that Alabama has a running back in this game rush for more than 50 yards against Oklahoma? And if you want to be gutsy, who will that running back be? Let me know inside the comment box. Alabama right now is ranked 120th in the nation in Alabama's run game, right? They're averaging just 3.5 yards per carry. They are 132 in first downs gained per rush, which is an absolutely crazy stat. They are 128th in yards per carry and 134th in a first down rate by running yards. So, look, those are bottom 10 rushing yards naturally. So I think the natural question comes up, can Alabama win a national championship? They're 8-1. They're rolling in the SEC when you have a limited ability of running the football. Coach Saban simply said this, look, I think it's really hard to do. I really do. Saban on why it's still possible to potentially get a running game going. Coach Saban said immediately, and he pivoted to kind of this team's strength, and he said, look, if you've got good enough quarterback, if you have a good enough quarterback like Ty Simpson has been operating, and you've got good enough wide receivers, as we know, I could name 4 wide receivers right now that are absolutely dangerous, right? That's the strength of the team to me. That is what Coach Saban said, and I 100% agree. Outside of the way that the defense is playing right now, if you ask me, what is Alabama's strength? I'm saying, okay, defense right now, but Ty Simpson and 4 quality, outstanding wide receivers, okay? He says, basically, Alabama can win it because they can throw the ball so effectively, and they can create explosive plays. 100%. Look, I've kind of brought this up a few different times. Does Alabama need a running game to really beat top-end teams, or do they need, or rather, let me phrase it like this. Is this high-efficiency passing attack that they have good enough to win against, the top 4 teams, right? Let's call them Georgia, A&M, Indiana, and Ohio State. I mean, they already beat one of them. They beat Georgia, right? And it's not like they ran for 200 yards in that game. They had a running back who ran for, 50 yards in that particular game. So, look, Saban on kind of what's holding Alabama back, because I think that's probably the biggest question, right, is like what is holding Alabama back from running? And he said, look, they have struggled to run the ball. The offensive line is going to have to continue to improve. That is what he said. They have decent backs, okay, but they have not been able to sustain or finish a run game at all. Look, I know we've been going back and forth this entire week about who is it? Is it the scheming? Is it the offensive line? Is it the running back? There, Coach Saban said on the Pat McAfee show, you can go watch it. He said, look, the offensive line is going to have to improve. And right now, Alabama, it seems like they've been rotating maybe 9 different linemen, and I know a lot of you have been calling for Form B to be replaced. Even Caden Proctor has been put under the microscope by the film guy in terms of, those guys just not getting the job done. So do you feel right now, after all the research that's been out there, even hearing from Coach Saban, that you feel it's an offensive line issue, or are you still in a stance that you need to have A.K. Deere come into the game and change it up? Now, on my show, I said this. Look, I feel that the problem with A.K. Deere, look, I get it. I have no issues with him other than this that I am cautiously kind of worried about. Is you put a player like A.K. Deere that has limited or no SEC experience against an active Oklahoma pass rush, I think they might eat him up in terms of him not being able to pick up blitzes, right? That's kind of the one thing that I am concerned about if you do put in A.K. Deere. Jam Miller has excelled in that. Daniel Hill, not so much, but maybe A.K. Deere can provide that spark. I don't know. Look, Saban's solution, look, I like this. He was like, flip the script. Throw the ball when they think you're going to run it and keep making explosive plays that way. Look, maybe if it's a 3rd and 1, maybe hit somebody downfield. I mean, and Saban brings up such a great point. I mean, it's not like it's that complicated, but you have wide receivers on this team that are so dynamic, specifically in one-on-one situations. Like, I have never seen a wide receiver be held more than Ryan Williams, and that's because of his takeoff ability is absolutely elite, right? So Saban kind of mentioned, stop trying to be a traditional Alabama team, and I don't really think that Grubb is trying to do that, but kind of lean more into the pass, which is clearly this team's strength. So can Alabama win a title? I don't think that Coach Saban necessarily gave a yes or no, but he said that it's hard to win if you don't have a dominant run game. So I want to hear from you inside the comment box. Do you think that Alabama can win a national title with a really good defense and let's call it a really good intermediate passing game that has explosive weapons, and I would say maybe one-dimensional offense? I don't know. I mean, maybe you can. Look, Ryan Grubb, I'm definitely not going to sell on him. I've always, there's always little things that you can point out, but man, I think that overall he's done a great job with the Alabama offense. And I know we've kind of gone both ways on some of the gadget plays, but overall, 21 touchdowns to 1 interception, that tells me a lot about Grubb, but it tells me so much about Ty Simpson. I feel like that is still one of the key stats that is being overlooked going into this game. That, and everybody's been talking about Oklahoma's defense, and rightfully so, but man, I'm talking about Alabama's offense. I really am. So the defense has been holding, and Ty Simpson has not been creating bad plays. He hasn't been turning the football over. I know there's been a couple fumbles that he's had. Those have been kind of from the blind side, but other than that, I'm talking about throwing into bad situations that gives the opposition extra opportunities. So look, final thought going into this Oklahoma game, which I think is pivotal because I do feel, and I understand that the experts feel that Alabama wins by double digits. In fact, my score prediction is 27-10. But I will say this. You lose this game to Oklahoma, you know what game's on the back end of the schedule, which is Auburn. And that game becomes that much more scary because if Auburn's able to beat Alabama, Alabama's probably out of the playoffs if they lose their last 2 SEC games. I don't think that'll happen. I have confidence in Alabama's defense right now. They are playing with their hair on fire. The 2 deep is ridiculous. And Ty Simpson, I feel that he's going to be able to outduel John Mateer. And then, look, all right, Coach Kalen DeBoer against top 25 teams is 19-3 during his career. And against top 10 teams, we'll call Oklahoma a top 10 team, he is 6-1. On top of that, Alabama's won 17 in a row. I know that doesn't really come into play that much, but I do feel that home field does come into play in a game like this. I've said this, many times this year. Bryant-Denny Stadium transformed as soon as fans are starting to understand that they have such an impact and that the defense, the offense needs them to rally. Because, look, in the past, Saban kind of had everything on autopilot. Fans would dip out, things like that. That's not the case anymore. I think that fans clearly know that they can have a direct impact in this game. The last thing might be some sort of a revenge factor. Oklahoma absolutely put it to Alabama last year, and that's got to be in the back of the mind some of the vets, understanding that Oklahoma really took it to Alabama, so maybe that comes into play. And you look at who Alabama had to get redemption on this season, right? Took it to Vanderbilt, took it to Tennessee. Oklahoma feels like they're going to be next. So look, can they run the ball? I don't know. We'll see if they can. I personally don't think that the running game is just going to magically appear with a different running back, but I do feel you can take shots downfield against Oklahoma. I kind of feel that might be the difference in this game. Hey, fam, I appreciate y'all. Thanks for kicking it with me inside the comment box. Let me know, okay, do you think Alabama will have a running back run for more than 50 yards against Oklahoma? Appreciate you being here. News that happens right here on Bama Football on YouTube.